Kimberly Rice, and you are tuned into the Secret Sauce Marketing Tasting Show, the groundbreaking podcast for business bosses, professional women, and anyone who is hungry to learn how to create the career, business, and life of their dreams by charting their own course. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to another edition of Secret Sauce Marketing Tastings. Today, we're going to talk about the imperative of professionals to take the long view in developing their business, their book of clients, etc. So many times when I've worked with and coached professionals, lawyers, etc., they get most discouraged so easily when things don't pop like they think that they should. For example, I've worked with so many lawyers over the years who may have been invited to speak at some type of conference or a client's location, etc., or even at a firm hosted event. And they usually breeze into the ballroom or the meeting room, read from their PowerPoint slides, and then sashay out as soon as the event has concluded. When I've visited them in their offices to debrief and to get their thoughts and feedback on the event and the connections that were made and the follow-up activities, invariably I've had folks say to me too often, well, I've tried these speaking engagements and I didn't really get any clients, so I just don't think it works for me. And I want to challenge those folks who think that way, because not only does no one marketing tactic going to attract the clients that you want it to, but I would assert that it's the wrong and misguided mindset, wherein you're thinking that one event or one activity is going to be shot off like a flare gun and all the clients that you've ever wanted are going to be there. That doesn't work that way. Building a business is a process. It is a step-by-step, one foot in front of the other, ongoing investment in your business while you're working on your business. So I want to offer a few tips and challenges for those folks who, and we all should be in the business development business, as far as building relationships, enhancing our reputations, and developing and getting and staying in contact with our network. So number one, I'd like to say that what got you here will not get you there. So many firms are top heavy with senior lawyers that perhaps started their practices in the 60s or 70s, maybe even 80s. And the world has changed. The economy has changed, the globalization, the technology. It's a different paradigm. And if we didn't see that and learn that during the Great Recession, then you weren't paying attention. It's now a buyer's market, and they are very cost conscious. And so not only do you have to be attentive to the work product being as good or better than it's ever been, but the whole process of attracting and retaining clients and client relationships has changed. One of the things that I often train when we're in firms engaged in business development skills training, or other similar training for our clients, is that the war stories that your senior partners used to come into the associates luncheons and give about how they developed a book are not so relevant anymore. Some of them may be, but the women. There are more women graduating from law school than men now. More women have come into the law firm, although they represent few leadership positions. But being a guys club or an old boys network and doing all the business out on the golf course, certainly that goes on, but that's not the only path to building a business. Being the only game in town, it isn't no longer applies. In the legal services arena has never been more competitive than it is today. So one of the things that I want to challenge you with is to take some time to reflect, regardless of where you are in your business cycle. If you're just starting out, or you're mid-career, or you're in the fall or winter of your career, think about the stereotypical ideas and ideals that you have just accepted over time, and that the whole concept of this is how we've always done it, to challenge yourself to maybe look at thinking differently about how to attract clients and develop deeper relationships with your existing clients. And so over time, we as human beings have the tendency to develop habits. As we grow older, we don't want to change those habits. But then we wonder why we don't have the book of business that we used to. Some of our clients may be reaching retirement age, and we've not done the work to form and nurture and foster relationships with the folks that will ultimately assume the responsibilities of our client contact. So, number one, I'd like to challenge you to root out unhealthy habits that are not serving you. Number two, I would say to prioritize your values, in that, given the ever connected world that we live in, we are over connected, more connected than ever in the history of mankind. And sometimes that leads to even an addiction of connection. But how we want that instant gratification, that if we go to this networking activity, that if we don't get, pick up a client or two, then it wasn't worth our time. Again, that is not how prosperous businesses are built. If you speak with and you see and talk with people, individuals, rainmakers who have built a business over their lifetime, their professional career, they'll tell you, that there were many nights away from the family. There were weekend dinner parties that they would have rather not gone to. And so I just hear this undertone, not necessarily only from the millennial clients that we work with, but this instant, well, why hasn't this worked yet? So one of the things that I advise our coaching clients when they get impatient or discouraged, that they may be courting or trying to foster greater relationships with the folks in their networks, is number one, are you hanging out with, or are you getting and staying in front of the quote right individuals unquote, of who may be able to retain you for your legal services? All too often we see, if an attorney is engaged or a professional is engaged in targeted regular networking, that they are not necessarily in the right rooms. So one of the first steps that we all need to take, regardless of where we are in the life cycle of our business, is to analyze and evaluate, who is the ideal client for you. And there may be more than one answer to that question. It could be a number of different folks, but think about job titles, particularly if you're in a business to business practice, corporate, in the corporate sense, versus a consumer based practice like family law or estate and elder law, etc. But then you have to prioritize your values, and arrange your life and expectations around the fact that this, meaning building a prosperous business, is not going to happen overnight. I mean, you certainly can have some quick wins, particularly if you evoke the secret sauce that we are consistently speaking about and evangelizing about the consistent, persistent, massive amounts of action over a prolonged period of time. Excuse me. If you evoke that and you have um, buttoned up and nailed down your ideal target prospect, and and you can find out where they go as far as for professional development or where they go in general. Not suggesting you stalk anyone, but um, generally, if it's a B2B practice, they're a member of a professional association. If it's a business to consumer practice, then the closest and quickest way to growing that book is through referrals of other attorneys or other professional services providers. So it takes some um, quiet reflection time to clarify and crystallize in your own mind who are your profile of your ideal client, where do they go. If that's where they go, then that's where you need to go. You can start demonstrating your expertise by publishing and blogging and speaking and writing and getting involved in the organizations that they're involved in. All of these things we teach over and over again. That's what the cornerstone of our book is, the Rainmaker's Roadmap, a step-by-step guide to building a prosperous business. But I've just heard so many times the feedback from our clients that they get discouraged because things aren't happening quickly enough. And so really this is the case of, well, if you do more, then you're going to get more. If you give more, if you help connect other people, then you're going to get that back. But shifting your mindset to know that developing a prosperous business um, is best done when you take the long view. And so you can rid all of the negative self-talk and the discouragement that if you are affirmed that you are fishing in the right pond, you know who your ideal client is, you know where they go, and you're following suit, then you don't give up. That's the persistence. I mean, it takes some time, but the more and more that you are focusing your business development time and efforts and resources in the right pools and ponds where the right fish are, and this is all very figuratively, then good things are going to happen. Momentum's going to be built. You're going to demonstrate your expertise. You're going to grow into leadership. You're going to begin to get the attention of more senior folks and decision makers, and then you need to be ready to have that conversation of how it is that you can help those prospective clients. So I just wanted to give that for something for you to think about today in another episode of our Secret Sauce Marketing Tastings is business development. Building a prosperous business requires the long view. So I challenge you to think about and reflect upon, are you taking the long view towards your business? And if you're not, then how can you course correct? As always, please reach out to us. I'd be happy to have a conversation with you and learn more about your unique situation, to give you a tip or two of how to get you set on the right course or get you back on the right course. Of course, you can check out all of our resources on the KLA Marketing website at klamarketing.com. Feel free to reach out to me directly at Kimberly at klamarketing.net. And as always, keep moving forward.